Why, hello there, Whovians. Today we will be starting the first of hopefully many Whoniverse topics in our discussions here on the Fiction Forge. Today we will be diving into a hypothetical alternate reality where Jenny, the Doctor's daughter from Series 4, Episode 6, which is appropriately also called The Doctor's Daughter, becomes a full-time companion. I'm SixMysta Johnathan. Join me as we discuss how to include Jenny's presence and how it would have changed the dynamics and plot of Series 4, starting with how Jenny survived and became a full-time companion in the first place. Regardless of how, though, exactly Jenny survives, whether by not being shot in the first place, regenerating into a new face as a Time Lord would, or the Doctor staying long enough to see her survive, she would become a companion of the Doctor, joining both the Doctor and Donna as a companion after the events of this episode. Jenny's adventure would properly begin in Season 4, Episode 7, titled The Unicorn and the Wasp. In this episode, Jenny joins along with the TARDIS group in her first adventure as a companion. She explores time and space now, along with the Doctor and Donna. This episode, even though unchanged for the most part in terms of progression, would act as an example for Jenny on how to act going forward. Apart from her maybe trying to fight the Vespa form, she wouldn't really add much in terms of help. Being told to run off and follow orders, this adventure would act more as a view into the life of her father and not straying much from canon. Jenny's moral development. In Season 4, Episode 8 and 9, titled Silence in the Library and Forest of the Dead, Jenny would be faced with the severity some of these adventures hold. First, believing it's all fun and quickly seeing how it could go south with the smallest bit of information. Arriving in the library, she would initially act as some additional dialogue and not offer much until the arrival of Professor Riversong, where she would at first introduce herself along with Donna, the latter revealing Jenny as the Doctor's daughter, while Jenny starts interacting with Miss Evangelista. Riversong would start her contemplation, wondering if Jenny is her future daughter or if it might be something the Doctor hid from her in her past life or future. This series gets goddamn confusing when it comes to wibbly wobbly timey-wimey bullshit, okay? So someone's past could be someone else's future. Considering the Vashtanarada aren't an enemy easily fought off, for now, Jenny would be much but an extra worry the Doctor has to think about. Meaning, apart from some sympathy when Miss Evangelista dies, when the Doctor gets the opportunity to teleport Donna out of there, he'd likely send her along. Meaning, we have a dream world to cover. Even though we could argue the events Jenny follow in this virtual world could be similar to her adventures in other forms of canon like the comics or audio dramas, it is much more likely she would live a normal life similar to Donna, with a possible fake Doctor accompanying her, but once again, the capacity of the virtual reality would make this arguable, so dwelling on it for too long might be unwise. The episode concludes as per normal, with Riversong sacrificing herself for who she believed to be both her daughter and husband, only to, in this moment, realize that by sacrificing herself, that Jenny is not in fact her daughter, possibly verbalizing it to the Doctor in her final moments. The Doctor, as per usual, after everyone else has returned at the end of the episode, would realize something, rushing to upload River's consciousness into the network before leaving, having yet another episode end in more or less a similar way. Season 4, Episode 10, promptly named Midnight. During the events of Midnight, Jenny would accompany the Doctor along his trip to see the Edge of Oblivion, and throughout acts as his supporter. She would try to convince others of the good intentions, and frustration would rise when people do not listen to her, as this would obviously be referring to after the ship would crash. Jenny's moral growth from previous episodes is evident, as she resists the instinctual temptation to harm others, by for example throwing them overboard, as they themselves had threatened to do to the Doctor. In the moments of the possession, reflecting on her father and Donna's likely disapproval, believing that it's best to just prevent them from doing so in the meantime. The episode not utilizing her much since words are more important than actions, and her lack of knowledge not holding much weight. Also, for the most part, skipping over the following episode, Turn Left, should be fine, due to only Donna really having any relevance in the episode themselves. Maybe just adding that at the end of the episode, Turn Left, she would probably come running towards the TARDIS as Donna and the Doctor decide to leave. Jenny's role beyond just a soldier. In Stolen Earth and Journey's End, Jenny would somewhat return to her soldier roots as she'd be forced into constant confrontation with enemies. But don't be fooled, no progression of character would be lost here, since seeing all the companions and friends her father had made throughout his journey in time and space allows her a view into the inner reasoning of why he was able to walk away from being a soldier, and would later reflect on that herself. And even though going over the possibilities of unique interaction between Jenny and all the respective characters in Series 4 finale would be interesting, it would also take an extremely long time to cover. So for right now, mentioning the brief interactions she might have with the characters like Davros and the Dr. Donna clone of her father would be fine. Starting with Davros, it would be likely that he would try to bring up the opinion and image of the Doctor in her eyes, or somewhat actually bring it down. But this would only give her insight into why her father walked away from being a soldier, and possibly even improves their connection. For the interaction with her father's clone, apart from maybe some questions, there wouldn't be much that is uniquely directed at him. But inevitably, this leads to the conclusion of Journey's End, where the Doctor would once again be left alone. And sadly, this would also most likely be the conclusion of Jenny's joint journey as well. The events that had passed till this point would have given Jenny a deep urge to follow in her father's footsteps and find people worth protecting, people who make her more than just a sum of her actions. A reason to not just be that soldier created from the Doctor's DNA, embarking on a journey of her own into the vastness of the universe. But do not fret, since this is not the end of Jenny's story. Even though this is indeed the conclusion of this specific video, the topic might still have some reason to return, as Jenny does actually appear in other Whoniverse media a few more times. Jenny appears again in both comics and audio dramas in future Doctor Who runs, so it is possible for us to extend this topic into how these events changed her appearance then, and even a possible return for her as a companion in those Doctor's runs. If you would like to see me continue this discussion in the future, be sure to let me know in the comments down below. But for now, that'll be all. And there you have it, an exploration of what could have been if Jenny had continued as a companion. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification for more Doctor Who content. Until next time, keep on theorizing. This has been SixMysta. Peace.
Let us guide you.